Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host Edward McQueen and April Garner Davis.
All right, here we go.
And,
oh yes, absolutely. Can't wait to get this kind of news here out. All right, Miss April, how are you doing?
I'm doing well tonight. How are you?
Fine, very well.
All right, but before we get started, brother, yeah, we're as good as we can be, right? No need to complain.
Can be. You know, all these things happening around locally, you know, with losing our people, you know, things like that.
Yeah, life is life and real hard right now.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, we don't want to put too much hardships on people, but we want to let them know, April, about especially people in Horry County, Georgetown County, Dorchester County, which apparently what our topic is going to be tonight is going to be impacted the most. However, it may have a broader range of impact after we hear tonight from the gentleman who could take us further into that and tell us about what's going to be impacting. That impact is of energy from the local energy. Before I start calling any names, so what we have with us, though, if I've said enough, that we have a Mr. Frank Knapp Jr. He's the president and CEO of the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce, and I can't go into exactly what they do there. We were briefed on it as shortly before, but I think he can give us a more complete, in-depth narrative on that. So let's start this evening off and go straight to him.
All right. Well, before we do, we first of all would like to thank our audience for being with us tonight. I like to give a little shout out every now and again. Verdell Beckman, again, you are the first person in the room. So thank you for watching.
Look at my sister's in there.
Yeah, she's the first one in the room.
I'm telling you.
She and Betty Gars are kind of duking it out because she came in first and Betty got here right after her. So thank you, Betty, for joining us.
Mr. Isaac Bakeman turned over his grave. He's turned over happy.
In a good way. Yeah, she represents. Yeah, watching from Columbia, South Carolina, we appreciate it. And Betty from the big city of Bucksport, South Carolina, we appreciate you for being here with us tonight. Yes, and we encourage you to share this broadcast across your social media pages. You can grab our YouTube link and push it out, text message or email to people who need to hear this important information tonight. And so thank you very much for tuning in, but also sharing and helping us to spread this good information. Brother El, before we get started, I also want to give a special shout out to none other than Zoe Wilkes. He is one of Sand Ridge's finest, and he is responsible, along with Patch, the producer, who is one of his collaborators in music. He's responsible for our opening track that ran tonight. Wow. And so Zoe is homegrown.
Yes,
he's a songwriter, singer, producer. I mean, just extraordinary talent and always making big moves. And so he is family, and he is going to bless us with some more tracks that we can share to get everybody ready for the good information that we are always disseminating every Tuesday night. Thank you very much, Zoe, and Patch, the producer. We really do appreciate it. In the meantime, we do have Frank Knapp with us. Again, he's with the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce. And so, Frank, here you go. How are you doing?
Well, I am doing fine. Thank you, April. Thank you, Edward, for the opportunity to be on your program.
Yeah, we appreciate having you here tonight. We have a very important topic that we need to discuss tonight. And of course, Brother Edward sent the promo out, and we're talking about increased energy charges, which is sparking a call for action. And utility that we are talking about tonight is none other than Santee Cooper. And what's been proposed in terms of what's to come in May, you may start to see changes on your bill and your invoices for energy. And so Frank is here tonight to share with us not only what the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce is all about, but also the initiative that's been undertaken to combat this rate change. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening with it. Some stuff that we learned tonight about the regulation of Santee Cooper, but also what you as concerned citizens can do in order to, maybe roll this back. So before we get started, Frank, if you will, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, April. I appreciate that. I co-founded the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce back in 2000. We're 25 years old this year.
Really?
So I've been doing this quite some time of advocating on behalf of small businesses. And one of the things that we've been doing for almost that entire time, 23 years, is being concerned about energy costs to small businesses. We have intervened 11 times in rate hearings and for Dominion Energy, the old SC&G, now Dominion Energy and Duke Energy. And that basically our goal was to keep electric and gas rates as low as possible for the small businesses of this state. And it also helps residential because when we bring up questioning charges and questioning what the utilities are doing, it tends to bring down everybody's proposed rate hikes. And we've been very successful over the years. I mean, we've had sometimes intervening in a rate hearing and had, brought the proposed rate hike down by 50 or more %. And then, so you got to ask yourself, and these are the regulated industries. We'll get into Santee Cooper in a minute. We have to ask yourself if the utilities are proposing rate hikes that they say they absolutely need in order to survive. But then they say, oh, we cut your rate by 50%, no problem. It really is a game that is played where they ask for more than they think they're ever going to get and then get something that they can live with. So those are the regulated industries. In South Carolina, it's just Dominion Energy and Duke Energy are regulated by the South Carolina Public Service Commission. And Public Service Commission then relies on the Office of Regulatory Staff. It's a state agency, and their job is to take the information from the utilities that they say justifies the rate hike that they're proposing and understand it and analyze it and basically say to the Public Service Commission and to the interveners like the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce, because you're allowed to intervene in these processes, they don't deserve all that. And here's why. So that is the process for our regulated investor-owned utilities. Completely different for Santee Cooper. Santee Cooper is a state agency. Nobody regulates it.
But you just said that the others were state agencies.
No. Investor-owned companies, Duke Energy and Dominion Energy,
which are regulated.
Are regulated by the South Carolina Public Service Commission.
Okay.
Right. The South Carolina Public Service Commission has nothing to do with the rate structure of Santee Cooper.
Okay.
And there's the danger. Now, granted, Santee Cooper will say, "Hey, we're nonprofit. We don't want to make a lot of profit because we don't have profit, and so trust us." Based upon where we are today and what they are putting into effect, trust is not something you want to give necessarily to Santee Cooper. They are controlled by a board of directors. That board of directors are not energy people. They don't really have backgrounds in energy. They are political appointees by the governor of this state, and the Senate has to confirm them. That's it. If the governor wants Joe Blow over here because he's been a great campaign contributor to him, he just nominates him, and the Senate goes, well, okay.
And without knowing anything about energy or any of the analysis that present to them.
There is no requirement that they have any knowledge or experience in the energy market. The chairman of this Santee Cooper board is an attorney, former legislator. So
what do you think his best interest would be that would benefit?
You'll have to ask him. I'm sure he's a nice gentleman, but you'll have to ask him why he wanted to give up his House seat and be the director of the board of Santee Cooper. I don't know. So here we are today, and our interest in the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce for Santee Cooper is the same interest we have for Dominion Energy and Duke Energy. We want to keep the rates as low as possible for the small businesses. Now, unlike Dominion Energy and Duke Energy, which have large numbers of counties that they serve, right? Duke is up in the upstate. Dominion is kind of the middle of the state. And Santee Cooper, interesting enough, Santee Cooper only sells energy directly to consumers, residential or small business, in certain areas of their territory. So it's part of Horry County and Dorchester County and Berkeley County. Those are the areas that they serve directly. In other words, those people get a bill from Santee Cooper. All the other 2 million ratepayers under Santee Cooper are handled by their co-ops, the electric co-ops. And we have 16 of those or something in the state. Why it's like that, I have no idea how history ever developed that way. But that's where we are. And so our concern with the new rate design that's going into effect for Santee Cooper direct customers, Horry County, Dorchester, Berkeley, those are the people we are focusing on now and have focused on, trying to protect them from unfair increases in their rates.
So, Frank, you shared with us some background information, and one of them was a letter that was written to the Santee Cooper Board of Directors, and with some key observations that were listed. And one that kind of stuck out to me was the fact that there's an observation that, as quoted in this letter, the impact of the proposed demand change rate design is not proportional across all customers. And as shown in a NewGen study, 25% of residential customers could see their bills increase 20% or more when the proposed rates go into effect, even though the overall residential customer class is slated for an 8.7% increase. So let's talk about that differentiation there. I mean, you're saying you probably should be charged, if anything, an 8.7% increase, but you might see as much as a 20% increase. That's a huge disparity.
So you hit the nail right on the head. Santee Cooper does deserve more money because for the last, 5 years, there's been a lock on what they're allowed to charge their customers, resulting from the nuclear debacle back in 2015, 16, 2017. Okay. Mm-hmm. The legislature said, oh, you know what? We're going to control how much you are collecting from your ratepayers. And they basically said, no, you're not going to increase your rates. And if you have extra cost for coal goes up, you're going to have to eat it for right now. And all this extra money you should have been charging for the last 6 years, you can collect that after this rate lock goes away, which is April 1st, 2025. So what you have is, and your point is well taken. I've made the same point. If Santee Cooper says they need an overall rate increase from their residential consumers that they serve directly of 8.7%, wouldn't it be easier simply to increase everybody's rate by 8.7%? You get to where you want to go. but they don't. Some of those customers, according to the Office of Regulatory Staff, which closely works with Duke, analyzing Duke and Dominion Energy proposals, the Office of Regulatory Staff did look at the proposal for this new rate design that Santee Cooper is going to put into effect, and said that ORS, Office of Regulatory Staff, said that the rates could, for some customers, go up 34%. Now, let me explain what Santee Cooper says they're trying to do. They want to provide an incentive to their residential customers and to their small business customers to reduce the energy they use during peak demand periods every day. So in the summer, your peak demand period for your Santee Cooper will be 3 to 6 p.m. In the winter, where we are now, the peak demand would be 6 to 9 a.m. And what they're saying is we want our customers to try to reduce how much energy they are using so that we don't have to put into effect our least effective generators of energy that cost the most. So every energy source is not as efficient as every other energy source. So if they need more energy during a certain peak time, they may have to fire up some coal plant someplace, right? And it costs more to do that. So their goal is admirable, but then they went about it all wrong. and there lies the problem of why you have this swing of some people are going to get 0%, some people will get 30-some% increases. And the kicker is they won't know why. Because the new rate design that's hardly used anywhere else in the country, Santee Cooper says, oh, that's what we're going to use. And it's convoluted, it's illogical, and nobody will understand it who's using electricity. So they won't know how much really going to get charged until the bill comes in.
So I do have a couple of questions from this. I'm sure that they can look at patterns of usage to probably figure out, or maybe they have already, to figure out which areas will be most highly impacted. And I'm wondering if that data exists, and also if that data shows that they're in marginalized areas. Is there a way to tell that?
Well, I'm sure Santee Cooper has that information. Whether or not the public can have it or not is a whole new story. I don't know that Santee Cooper is charging. The rate design impacts low-income areas more than other areas. I understand the concern. I don't know that they have thought that through or care. They're just going to say, well, this is the way our rate design works, no matter where you live in our territory.
Okay.
But the problem is, overall, I know we said that they are telling residential customers that you'll have about an average 8.7% rate hike come April 1. But some of them are going to get big rate hikes, and some are going to get little rate hikes, or maybe even a reduction. And they also say that the overall increase in revenue will be about 4.7% from ratepayers. That's what they told me. For small businesses, they're going to average 4.6% rate hike. But that's not the case either. It all depends. Rate design can cause some businesses, small businesses, to have 30% or more higher rate hikes. And again, the small business owner won't understand what happened or how to control it. And we can go into exactly how that works.
So let's say, since we are talking small business in this example, let's say it's a mom and pop bakery, and they are, baking goods for their morning breakfast rush, which means that they're going to be consuming a lot more energy, right? And I'm over here doing the math, and I'm just going to keep it real simple. but I'm, very small number for a bakery. But if their average bill is $250 and they see, let's say, a 30% rate hike, it goes from 250 to 325, basically. And you're saying that they probably, it's not like it's going to be steady or consistent. It could fluctuate, and it's going to be really hard to kind of plan for that. Also, and that to me seems a little unfair.
Unfair.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So here's what this rate design is. Everybody thinks that I use this kilowatt of energy at this time, and I use it the next time, and I get charged the same amount of money, no matter what time of day I use it. That's not what's going to happen under this rate design. And remember, I said they want you to use less electricity during their peak hours. So residential or small business, same thing happens. One time during that month, during that 3-hour period, you really, for some reason, use a lot of energy, you're going to get charged $10 times that kilowatt hour for a residential, $17 for a small business. And that goes to your bill. You also will pay a charge for each kilowatt hour you use all the time. And Santee Cooper is going to tell you this, but we reduced how much we charge for a kilowatt hour. Oh, they did. That's because they put this trap in there that's going to jack up a lot of people's rates. So yes, they lowered it for all the other time day parts you're using a kilowatt hour compared to where it was. But they've got this 3-hour peak period that if you could use 10 kilowatt hours. In residential, that'll be 10 times 10. That's $100 just for that hour. And then you're going to pay all your other rates along the way. For a business, if they use 10 kilowatt hours for some reason, and now we can talk about that bakery, during that morning 3 to 6 to 9 p.m. a.m., that's $17 times 10.
Ooh.
That's $170 just there. You get it. And then, of course, you're going to use your pay for all the other kilowatt hours you use. And so that's why it is unfair for that bakery. That bakery, what are they going to do? How are they going to lower their energy consumption from 6 to 9 a.m. if that's when they're producing their goods that they're selling?
Right.
They can't do it. The other irony is if the purpose of this demand charge is to send a signal to the consumer, business or residential, to lower how much energy you're using during that time period, because you're going to get hit with a one-time big charge, that bakery may always use 10 kilowatts at one time during that 3-hour period. And they're going to get that $170 charge just for that. And then they'll have to pay their other bills, the rest of the rate. But if the purpose of this demand charge rate design is to discourage energy use during that peak period, it's not going to discourage that bakery. That bakery is going to continue to use 10 kilowatts every hour during that peak.
That's their prime time.
So you didn't achieve anything. You didn't achieve a thing. And so that's why Santee Cooper's board of directors, they should be commended for this. They got this proposal from Santee Cooper staff, and the Santee Cooper staff hired their own consultant. So they put this new rate design as a proposal to the board. The board said, "Oh, you know what? We don't know anything about how this works. We're going to hire our own consulting company." And that's what they did. And that's where all the bad news comes from. That design rate,
it usually happens that way.
Yep, their consulting company. The Santee Cooper Board of Directors come out and said, man, you got major problems with this new rate design. And then they said, here is all the range of how much people are going to be hit, and the public won't understand how to do it, or they can't reduce their energy during certain periods, like that bakery. And it's simply going to be unfair. It's illogical. It's convoluted, and it's simply going to harm a lot of people and small businesses. And they suggested that, why don't you just use a time of use? So, okay, if here's your peak period, why don't we simply tell everybody, hey, if you use energy during this peak period, you're going to pay more per kilowatt hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then that rate will drop when it's outside the peak period. You know, I can even follow that guideline.
Mm-hmm.
But and the Santee Cooper residential customers can actually switch to that time of use, but they're not going to know, they're not going to understand that they can do that, because when they put into this demand charge rate, and they're going to see this, and you know, the average person out there is not going to know, oh, what, I can change my rate design, I can do that. No, they're just going to go ahead and complain about it and pay the bill. Well, that's what Santee Cooper wants. They want that extra money to come in. Now, interestingly enough, the small business owner who maybe might be able to figure out that I'm better off on the time of use than on this demand charge, like that bakery, Santee Cooper's not going to let them change. They're forcing them to have the demand charge rate design. Small businesses can't do it. Residential customers can switch if they know how to do it and understand. Industrial customers are using time of use rate design, but not small businesses.
Wow.
And those rates transfer down to the customers.
Well, yes, I mean,
like
small business, yeah. But look, do you really think that the small business can pass on this extra cost all the time to their customers?
Right, without getting some rebuttal,
pushback, and maybe losing some market share.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And that's the problem that small businesses always face. They get charged, they have their costs go up for some reason. And people may say, oh, they're just going to pass it on. Well, no, because there's a lot of competition in the small business market. And so they're going to eat some of that increased cost, which of course means that, well, they have to find savings someplace else.
Right.
If they can't raise their prices enough to cover this extra charge that they're being forced to pay, where are they going to save money? How about personnel? Maybe they cut back on hours. Maybe they lay off people. You know, or maybe they just eat it and all of a sudden have a very smaller profit margin, which puts them in jeopardy of even staying in business.
So Frank, you said the peak hours are 3 to 6. Is it?
3 to
what is it?
6 and during the summer.
During the summer.
3 to 6 p.m. and in the winter will be 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Okay. We have a couple of questions from some viewers. I'm going to start with Betty Gauze. She says, is it true that Santee Cooper provides energy to Ori Electric?
Yes.
Okay. So will Ori Electric be impacted by this?
That's a co-op, right?
Yes. So my understanding is that Ori Electric has also now adopted this demand charge rate design.
Wow.
So watch out. If you're a customer of Ori Electric, you watch out, because you'll be subject to the same thing. Now, the co-ops, they can do whatever they want charging their customers. Okay. So they don't have to follow Santee Cooper. And the co-ops have the power to buy the power generated by Santee Cooper lesser than you and I pay. Okay. So they do their best to buy it on a good rate and to be fair to their customers. So most of the co-ops do a pretty good job of figuring out how to balance that out. But that's why we're talking specifically about those Horry County and Dorchester and Berkeley residents and small businesses that are impacted directly because they get their energy directly from Santee Cooper.
Okay. Priscilla Fuller, thank you for watching tonight. She wants to know, what impacts do you have in your current role? So with the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce.
Well, help me out, April. What area of impact are we looking for?
Priscilla, if you can provide some clarity on your question, I would imagine she's trying to figure out what you can do as an advocate for the residential and the business consumer in your role.
Okay, yeah, that's what we've been doing. We knew that this proposal was out there. We and the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, and I will give all credit for the analysis of this rate design to Eddie Moore, who I invited to join us today, but unfortunately he's traveling. So he gets all the credit for really understanding the details of this rate design and being able to figure it out. But his organization and our organization did submit our comments to the Santee Cooper folks when they had a public comment period, and also submitted our comments directly to the board of directors of Santee Cooper before they actually made the decision. Now, so here's another problem. If you think that it's difficult to understand how I just described the new rate design program, even after having this consulting company, this big time consulting company do the analysis and present it to me, that didn't come out until after the public comment period. So what do you think happened during the public comment period when all the public knew was your rates are going to go up maybe 8.7%, or small businesses, your rates are going to go up 4.6%. How are they going to complain? They don't have the knowledge of how illogical, convoluted the rate design is going to be. So to simply say, well, we had a public comment period and nobody complained except for you, Frank. So our goal was to try to protect the commercial and small business and residential customer by getting the Santee Cooper board to rethink this whole thing and to pause the implementation of a rate increase. And they completely ignored us.
Okay. And then that goes into Priscilla's second question. What do you advise customers to do basically if they feel they're paying too much? And you and I kind of talked about this before the show. Like what can you do at this point?
So here's what the consumer can do. If you get your April bill from Santee Cooper and you go, man, that went up. And I would encourage you to get the April bill for 2024 and compare them. And see exactly how much maybe more you were paying. And contact your legislator, your House member, or your state senator and complain, because the General Assembly is the only entity that can make a change. The Santee Cooper Board of Directors have already made their decision, and that is full bore ahead, man. We're going to put this new rate design in that has never really worked that well anyplace else. The consultant said that. It's confusing, and there will be people who don't get treated fairly. So only the General Assembly can step in and say, Santee Cooper, I think you made a mistake. I think you need to go back to the drawing board and redo this. We're not saying that Santee Cooper doesn't deserve extra revenue, because they've been held back in getting the revenue they've needed to operate for the last 5-6 years. So they deserve to have a rate increase. The issue is it needs to be a fair rate increase.
It needs to be fair. It needs to be fair. And I mean, it's almost like they, from the start, took the fairness out of it, because what's the likelihood that, these hours that you mentioned are, wouldn't be the peak hours? It's 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. People are up getting ready for work. If it's a large family, there's a lot of electricity that's being pulled for bathing, for cooking, for getting ready. And so even in the summer hours, people are, getting home, getting dinner ready, doing a lot of things. So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting that if you were to choose a time, it would be that time. And I get the energy consumption part, but, why make it almost mission impossible for people who need to consume that much energy?
Yeah, which of those morning activities are you going to defer until 10 a.m.?
Exactly. And you were talking earlier about people who have medical conditions and maybe they have to run special equipment at home, or, even businesses because it could be some small businesses that are providing, medical services or whatever that are essential for people's lives. They won't be able to survive.
Yeah. If you're a senior and you are on some type of respirator or something other, a piece of equipment that is vital to your survival, are you going to turn it off for 4 hours? No.
What is
You're
there?
just going to pay more money.
Right. Is there? Then there should be an appeal board for that. I don't know if that exists. I'm asking.
No, I don't know that there is one.
Yeah.
Remember, Santee Cooper is not a regulated industry. The state does not regulate it.
Right.
Now, if this was Dominion Energy or Duke Energy, yeah, you could file complaint with the PSC, and if you got enough of these things, they could actually bring them in and explain what's going on. There would be some state regulatory agency overseeing what those utilities are doing and whether they're fair and justified. There is no such thing for Santee Cooper.
If there is a situation like I just mentioned about someone is on a respiratory, can you all intervene? Can your the lobbying group? I'm going to say lobbying group.
Well, we are a lobbying organization.
Yeah. Okay.
So can we intervene with Santee Cooper? No,
You can't.
no. I mean, there is no process by which the public can go directly to Santee Cooper and say change something.
They won't listen to you. Not like, for example, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, a friend of the court. You can't.
I mean, I guess you could try.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we've already gone through that process with the board of directors before they made the decision. What's the likelihood they're going to say, "Oh, we made a mistake"?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Brother Edward, basically, as he said before, that's why we elected officials to represent our communities. The communities impacted are going to have to put the hammer down on these elected officials to do what they were
do what they're supposed to do.
Chosen to do. Exactly.
Yes. And so that's a good idea. You could exercise your most immediate person, maybe your city council member or county council member, and say, we need you to get a meeting with us, with our state legislator. Maybe they'll be willing, because they're probably going to hear it faster than the legislator is going to hear it, of people complaining on the street, and maybe solicit their assistance at the local level, like I said, city council, county council person, to help reach out to the state legislator and say, we got a serious problem here in Horry County about rates, that these bills that are coming in for a lot of our people, that that they're way more than they were told is going to happen.
Can it start at the local level? For example, a city councilman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can go straight to them as a citizen, and let him start the ball rolling.
Absolutely, you can get them to help get in front of your local legislator. That's a good idea. Let me give you this warning though. Santee Cooper has a lot of friends, and those friends are going to be not so willing to try to take them on.
Friends or donors?
Well, Santee Cooper is nonprofit. They don't take money, but friends, Santee Cooper, well, like Dominion and Duke, they have cultivated their friends out there over the years, right? They give to this charity. They give to this Chamber of Commerce. They do this. They do that. They provide community things. All of that goodwill is what they want, so that when something does hit the fan, they've got all those people willing to turn their head and not look. And that's what makes the media so important.
Would you, even though you haven't dwelled on that a bit, but for the interest of some of our viewers, I'm sure that our audience, including myself, we don't it's not something that we frequent every day to look at what Santee Cooper is doing. And that's why we got people like you, I guess. Yeah, but I've seen the word co-op, but I never bothered to look it up and see exactly what it meant, other than I know that but having the two words that are together means that there is a combination of operations. Okay. So would you tell our audience, our viewing audience, exactly, like Horry County is a co-op. Horry Electric. What does that mean in general?
Well, what it means is that they have a territory that they provide the energy to the consumers in that territory. They're responsible for the transmission lines, for the poles, for fixing things when they break. They're responsible for all of that, and for collecting the money for the energy that is used. And they try to be good stewards for that community, and to, as a nonprofit, hopefully don't make a lot of extra money. And so the concept of a co-op is a good idea. But again, they're at the mercy of Santee Cooper raising rates to them.
Right.
And so, but the concern is the Horry Electric, if they adopt the same demand charge rate design as Santee Cooper does, well, their consumers are going to have the same issues with trying to understand why they're getting charged more for the same amount of electricity they were using before. So that's it. But the co-ops have served the state well over the years when they were created. They were originally created because no investor-owned utility like a Dominion or Duke wanted to go in these rural areas. It wasn't cost effective. Why do we want to run miles of transmission line to reach a house? So that's why these co-ops were created, to provide those services. So they have served a good purpose over the years.
I thought so, because it was why they were so popular. I mean,
well, and they're a nonprofit. They're not supposed to be trying to make money, and most co-ops are run well. We've had some renegade co-ops in the States where they've done some pretty outrageous things with the money. But for the most part, co-ops do a good job. So the real concern is, what is Santee Cooper doing in their territory that they serve directly? And there's a lot of people in Horry and Orangetown and Dorchester County that get their electricity directly from Santee Cooper, and they're the ones who are going to be really impacted by this new rate design, demand charge rate design.
Brother Edward, this is a lot to take in, as if we don't already have a lot going on.
Well,
in this world and in our communities.
Absolutely, he generated some concerns that I think that everybody should be aware of, and that is the average. I'm going to use the word Joe Sixpack, or has to listen to what Santee Cooper explains to them, and it's like jargon. A politician in DC used to call it gobbledygook or something, and they can't understand it. Yet it's legal. Santee Cooper has done his job. Yep. It has conveyed to you information. That's like telling you to read the fine print, or looking at a commercial, and then this guy starts talking really fast at the bottom. You don't know who's going to, So and they expect things like that. I'm going to shy away from calling it unscrupulous, but it's borderline that.
They are, the Santee Coopers, in control of communications. And if it wasn't for somebody like the South Coast Small Business Chamber and the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, this would never come to the forefront. And this isn't something we've really ever done, is got involved with Santee Cooper. Because typically for Dominion Energy and Duke Energy, there is a regulatory process where those companies say, we need these rates and different rates for different groups. And the Office of Regulatory Staff looks at them, crunches the numbers, makes comments saying, no, you can't charge us for those popsicles you bought for your staff. And you think I'm kidding? No. That there's been a lot of cost taken out of proposed rate hikes for both Duke and Dominion that were crazy parties for their staff, have nothing to do with producing energy. And millions of dollars happen to be called out and taken out of the proposal for rate hike. But there's nobody looking at Santee Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
They could be passing on the party costs for their staff to the ratepayers. That has nothing to do with generating electricity. Nobody's looking because they're a state agency controlled by a political board.
Unregulated. Well, Frank, thank you so much for sharing this information tonight. And we just want to let everyone know that if you're interested in learning more about the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce, you can always go to the website. And hopefully you see it now on the screen, South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce. And, just click through and see what all is going on in terms of the resources, the advocacy initiatives, and everything that's related to how this particular agency is helping small businesses and helping us to understand more about what's going on in terms of legislation and other matters, such as what's going on with the energy rate hike. And we just want to thank Frank Knapp for being here tonight. And you're a very busy man. We've been talking about having you on the show for a couple of months now, and it finally came to fruition. So, now I think it definitely worth it. And this was the perfect time because, as it was shown in the comments, one person said, they got their bill today and it was unbelievable. And, I talked to a few other people who said that they have seen some upticks in their bills. They're not Santee Cooper, but they are Ori Electric and that kind of thing. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Ori Electric has already put in place this new demand charge rate design, and that's why those people are seeing the rates go up. And that's what's going to happen to all the other Santee Cooper people.
Wow, that is it. So it's coming, y'all. Like I said, there's a lot going on and more to come. So again, here's the website if you'd like to visit the Chamber's website just to check out, resources and also advocacy information. But also, Frank, I'm sure that you're going to continue the good work to make sure that, at least before some things happen, they know you all exist and that you're watching. And you're trying to make sure that small businesses and even residents get a fair shake. But one point that he made that's poignant tonight, now that it's done, it is time for the people to hold these representatives to the fire to make sure that they're fighting for them on the other side of, the Capitol wall. So thank you again for being with us tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Edward. April, thank you so much for the opportunity. And look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Yes. Take care.
Godspeed.
Bye-bye.
So, Brother Edward, that was some amazing information. And I hope that everyone who listened tonight will just, be vigilant and take heed, check your bills, like you said, go back a year from, and see what you paid a year ago and start to watch the trends as your new bills come in. When it comes down to Santee Cooper, he mentioned earlier that you should see rate differences with your May invoices. And I mean, they're already high enough as it is with the winter months and, everybody's kind of cranked up their heat and all that good stuff. But just imagine that, by the time we kind of get out of this cycle, we'll be looking at rate increases that are simply because Santee Cooper has taken this stance. And so, and contact your legislators, your legislators. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. If you don't want to, if you think it's going to be difficult contacting your legislators, let's start with the city council. Okay. From the city council, because they're going to be impacted too with the rates. Okay.
Well, everybody's going to be impacted. So look, it needs to be a village. The village contacting your state representatives. He said, as a matter of fact, your House of Representative member or your state senator, they're the ones who can make the difference at this point. So find out who your House of Representatives member is and your state senator, and do what you got to do. Call them, email them, send letters, whatever. But
they should at least they should clarify what the peak hours are, so that if a person or a citizen can do nothing else but accept the rates, they can be vigilant of the peak hours, maybe, and don't use anything during those peak hours. Those are the hours that you can keep your costs down. I'm just saying, that's the losers category,
It's gonna be tough because, like he said, in the winter months, it's 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Right. So we're already using heat in the winter, especially when it's particularly cold. That's the time you're getting ready for work. And check this out: in the summer, the peak hours are 3 to 6 p.m. What's the hottest time of the day?
That's
3 p.m.
That's right.
3 p.m.
That's right.
It's the hottest. So they knew what they were doing. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just saying.
You're right. I could say some things, and based on analysis and some his history that I've delved into, but I don't want to prejudice the situation, and we just kind of hope wait until things clear up. But first, I would, if I got a big bill first, I want to see my city councilman or my county councilman at least, just let them know.
Well, yeah, I think it's fine to let your city, your county councilman know, but it doesn't sound like they have much, that they have the power. He clearly said the power lies in your state representatives. So you might be able to talk to your city and county reps to say, we are upset about this. You need to get on board with us to fight this fight. And maybe that gives, the community some leverage and gives it, a little bit more power in terms of the voice. But like Betty Gar said, she's contacting Ronnie Sapp. That's who you need to talk to.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's who you need to talk to.
Well, maybe my great sister over there in Bucksport, Miss Betty Goss, maybe she can be the central rallying figure, and people can contact her. I'm sure she doesn't.
Don't put Betty on the spot like that. Betty has a million hats she's wearing right now, but I'm sure she would be more than happy to field some questions to Ronnie and concerns to Ronnie. But it really does take everybody in the community. This is one of those things that should be a priority, because the bottom line, I did the math. If you have a $250 energy bill, and you're going to see a 30% uptick, you have a bill that's well over $300. Most people, are barely making that even in the run of a week. So, so it's kind of, it's a lot to actually put on a family, and especially the elderly, when you think about these fixed incomes, and if they don't have something that's connected to giving them a discount because they are of a certain age, it's really going to be so out of control because it's too expensive. And then we're going to see people doing some things that may be even, of concern safety wise, in order to just stay warm or to, light their homes or whatever the case is. So we got to be careful with that. But this was a great conversation, and it will be interesting to see what happens after May. So we may have to have Frank back. But before we go, Brother Edward, I received a text from Priscilla Fuller, wanting us to remind everyone of the NAACP's monthly meeting. It's the Conway branch, happening this coming Saturday, February the 1st at 1 p.m. It will be at Cherry Hill Missionary Baptist Church. And so if you are interested in finding out more about the Conway NAACP branch, joining, or even, just getting information about how they are restructuring things, you'll want to attend this very important meeting. So that Saturday, February 1st, 1 p.m., Cherry Hill Church. And I don't see that there's more information in terms of a website or anything like that. I believe when we have Reverend Floyd on the show, maybe a week or so ago, he said that that's coming. But I imagine that people are probably connected to somebody who's, currently, part of that restructure of the Conway NAACP. So, Brother Edward, this has been...
They're working hard to get this to start that motor running.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's good. That's good. So just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in tonight, and please share this broadcast. You put it on Facebook, if you grab the YouTube link, or just send them to wcmagazine.net. They can check out this broadcast for the next week. and they'll be able to get, this important information, kind of marinate on it and figure out your game plan, because as Frank Knapp says, it's in full effect. Nothing is changing it. The rate hike, peak demand rate hike is in full effect, and we'll start to see the effects of that really soon. If you're a Santee Cooper customer or electric, you're already seeing it. So everyone just be vigilant and take care as much as possible.
I'm sorry to hear all that, really.
Yeah. So anyway, we appreciate everyone being here with us tonight. And Brother Edward, I hope that you and Sister Joella have a wonderful rest of your week. And
we will. Okay.
God
willing.
willing.
Well, if you've got a second or two, I think just briefly for next week on our show, tentatively, I'm going to say a strong tentative. We the Conway Police Department wants to give us an update on some of the great things that they're doing, and I think we can welcome that next week. And if we don't have the chief, we'll have the captain and a lieutenant. One of them that I think you really know. So we'll have them on to give us a summary of things that have happened just recently and things they're doing now, and the things that are to come. They thought it would be very important to let the community know that. So.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. Always good to hear from our local law enforcement.
Yeah.
So, we'll welcome them next week if God says so. And until then, we hope that everyone remains safe and has a great rest of your week. I know I plan to, Brother Edward. This weekend is the Myrtle Beach NAACP Freedom Fund Gala featuring Victoria Rao. And it's going to be a grand time. And I just want to say that the Myrtle Beach NAACP under the leadership of Tiffany Andrews has done an amazing job pulling together that gala. And so it should be a really nice time. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to represent World Community Magazine.
Yeah, do that, April. You always do a good job at that.
I'm going to try my best. So. Well, thank you all again. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.
All right. God bless.
All right. Yes.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook.